Welcome to the Jolt Creativity pregame show. Jolt Creativity. Destroy the lie.
Welcome everybody to Friday Night Futsal here at the FCS, the top league out here in the United States. And joining beside me, the expert, the man Gerard. What a game tonight. Ginga FS, Detroit Imperial. What do we have to look forward to tonight?
Oh, we have an exciting match in store tonight. One of the biggest storylines last season was how Detroit Imperial traveled and really their struggles on the road. This season, they have started out hot on the road with a strong victory in Akron last week. This week, they look to continue the story against Ginga, and they got a strong roster. One of the names I know you're excited to say is Yaya Meska. He looked really strong last week. And, of course, Emerson Mena in goal is outstanding as well.
Yeah, we're going to see some excellent play from both sides, splitting a win each last season, and they were really going into it, both eliminated out there in the opening playoffs. What can we say about Detroit Imperial and so far to their start after a strong 24-25 campaign last year?
You know, they're integrating a lot of new talent, and one of the things that we saw last week was that there were some opportunities just with the way that their offense was run. It was a very fast break-oriented style game where you could see that they just didn't settle in well. They didn't gel together yet. So let's see if another week of practice really helps. And we had a newcomer this week, Omar Labiki, newcomer this season, but he's played with Detroit Imperial really since their inception, and so we expect to see a lot out of him tonight. He's going to be starting for them, one of the things, too, that's really interesting about Detroit Imperial, another player, Edward Murillo, another newcomer. He's from Venezuela, and you think about this international impact. We talk about it a lot with Ginga, but Detroit Imperial also flexing their international muscle as well with players from Venezuela flocking after seeing what Emerson Mena did last year.
Well, you took the words out of my mouth. You kept mentioning these awesome wingers that they're bringing into the play. They're chock full with 6 or 7 wingers that all could be starters on almost every team in this league. Detroit Imperial look really primed to make a far run this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. Well, we can't get right into it. Like, see, last year we saw a win each, both at home. What's going to be the big advantage for tonight? Everyone's well rested. It's only a couple games into the year. What's going to be the big key edge for both Ginga and Detroit?
Yeah, I would say the matchup to look out for is really in goal. So Corey Weisenhunt, he started most of the home games for Ginga last season and played really strong. Did not play a single game on the road. He is your starter in goal tonight. And Emerson Mena, one of the best in the league. So whoever wins that battle, that's who I would say is going to win this match.
Well, that's perfect. Well, we're going to get set just shortly. Ginga FS versus Detroit Imperial, live from Cincinnati, Ohio at the Elite Athletic Sports Center. What a game. You can't ask for anything more than Friday Night Futsal live in the United States. Cincinnati, Ohio, beautiful city, hosted a beautiful match tonight here in the Futsal Champions Series, an epic match between two teams who know each other so well, Ginga FS versus Detroit Imperial Futsal. It is on, and it's on right here, right now. Here we are inside the Elite Athletic Sports Center in Cincinnati, Ohio. Joining alongside me, Chris Fernandez is the OG of the FCS. Big Gerard out here, ready to bring you one of the best games early on in the season between Detroit Imperial and Ginga FS. And Gerard, we talked about it in the pregame. These two teams know each other well. It's going to be something, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, it's always great to watch Ginga at home. They really are a different animal altogether at home. It's just the full roster availability always is a struggle for them on the road. And so I would anticipate this being one of the strongest teams that they roll out this season. And Detroit Imperial, last season was a struggle for them on the road. They actually were winless against every team in the league on the road with the exception of Midwest FC, which every team beat Midwest FC last year. So Detroit Imperial last week, really strong against Innovation on the first road game of the season for them. Let's see if they can continue their winning ways.
Yeah, and Detroit last year we saw in the semifinals. We'll talk about that a little later on, but we got the starting five to go through out here. Of course, the big one, Shota, otherwise known as Shota Takatapagak over here, and sitting there with Raymond on the ala, along with Bugezi and Guinevart playing in the fixo position. And as we talked about earlier, Corey Weisenhunt starting in goal, wearing the numbered 88 kit for Ginga. And taking a look at the starting five for Detroit out there. No introduction needed. Labiki up front out there in the pivot position with SLA and Meska holding the ala positions. And then Davide keeps the goalkeepers away with his goal-scoring prowess, starting over in Fixo. And, of course, in net, none other than Emerson Mena with 1 win and only 4 goals allowed to start off the season so far. A very strong starting five, Gerard.
Yeah, they have a lot of talent. And last week, Davide DePoce, we didn't talk a lot about him really in the third half this week, but he was somebody that was really a defensive stalwart. He had 16 steals last week, just really stopping the Innovation attack left and right and center. And let's see if he can't continue to do that today. It's normal to see the Fixo play that defensive role, and it's something that DePoce is really comfortable doing for this team. And that was really one of the biggest opportunities for them last season. He didn't play in all of their road games and contributed to some of the reasons why they lost last season. But he was there last week. He's there this week. He will be a difference maker tonight.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about the early start to the season. You mentioned Detroit's big 10-4 victory over Innovation City last week. And, of course, Ginga suffering an 8-2 loss to Lansing despite their opening win against Innovation City on November 1st, scoring 8 goals in that one. They're really going to have to, fine-tune their defense tonight out there because Detroit, as we spoke about, really chock full of offensive talent.
Yeah, one of the things, too, you talk about Shota Takabatake. Early on, he has been coined Showtime Shota, and this really goes back to last season. Not only he's new to futsal, but not only has he integrated well into the sport of futsal, but he's been somebody that has a great ability to bring the fans in. And it's one of the things that's so amazing about futsal is just the energy and excitement in the arena. If you haven't had a chance to go out to a local game match, check it out. When you get a chance, go do it. It's one of the things we saw. This is a new facility for Ginga this season, and already early they've become really beacons of futsal in the Cincinnati community.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful court as we see both teams entering center pitch. You look at that beautiful laid plush maple floor. This is absolutely made for futsal. Should be getting started for the national anthems. We get the introductions of the players coming in just before the national anthem. There's the man to watch tonight. Shota already showcasing what he has available at his feet with 3 goals from 2 games this season. As the national anthem commences.
You know, Chris, you mentioned the new court and the futsal-specific court here. One of the things that really is exciting about this new arena for Ginga, last season they did have to play on a court that sometimes was incredibly small, tight, and narrow, and it really limited the ability for teams to maintain possession throughout. And so it's one of the things now that they're playing on an international-sized court, we should see a lot more possession and a lot more controlled play in a way that sometimes is a lot more challenging on a small court.
Yeah, the difference of playing on a 40 by 20 is absolutely immeasurable. And there we have the national anthems as both teams giving the fist bumps, and the 3-team referees coming out here getting ready for an epic match on Friday Night Futsal between Ginga and Detroit Imperial.
We talked about some of the new talent for Detroit Imperial, but there is quite a bit of new talent for Ginga. specifically Ewald Bugasi. He's another player new to futsal. This is his first season playing, and early on this season, he's shown an ability to really integrate and adapt to this new sport in a way that has been electric. So let's see if he can't continue that forward momentum, adapting to the sport and having an impact.
And we see Ginga picking up pace. Looks like an accumulated foul call there. As Ewald Bugasi picking up the first accumulated in the opening minute here in the Friday night futsal match of the week so far. Ginga versus Detroit. And Detroit looking to come out of their zone as we see a 1v1 situation. Nicely handled by the Ginga defender.
Jorge Guinevere is another player similar to Davide DePoce. He plays that fixo position, and he's really strong winning the ball back. He had 8 steals the last week that he played in the home game against Innovation City.
Yeah, for all their offensive prowess, the defensive abilities that they have at their disposal out there, especially in this league where it's very physical, it's very fast, is going to be a key parameter for their success this season, and he's certainly been a big case for that. As we see Detroit trying to come out of their zone. Lovely ball to the wing out there. And Detroit will retain possession.
Ginga absolutely missed Guinevere last week against Lansing City. They could have used some of his defense, preventing the shellacking they took in Lansing.
We already see both teams pressing defensively very hard so far. And it looks like, oh, the ref not making the call. Letting them play on. Always play to the whistle. And we'll see a corner now for Imperial.
And absolutely, Chris, you're right. Play to the whistle, let the ref make the call. We've seen that early this season. Some teams adjust, some teams have not. And the teams that are not able to adjust to what the referees call have found themselves unsuccessful.
And nothing much coming from that corner as we see Emerson Mena coming out. And another inbounds in their own zone from Detroit. As we see one of the stars of this league, Davide DePoce, Finished second in the league in both goals and assists. Last season, 14-11. An unbelievable talent. And Detroit certainly going to rely on him tonight and for the rest of the season. As we see Detroit on the attack again, but thwarted by the strong Ginga defense. Ball goes out of bounds out there. Ginga will retain possession as they make an entire line substitution, so 4 coming in. As we see one of the best hairstyles in the entire FCS, none other than Riley McKenzie, the brilliant defender. Goalkeeper to goalkeeper, easily handled there by Corey Weisenhunt. But a fantastic opening game, making 3 saves. And, the ball
and that's going to be a second touch right there. That was not a smart play from Camilo Herrera. He was given the ball from Corey Weisenhunt. Why would he pass it right back to him? This is one of the things we talk about with Ginga, just the integration from outdoor players, outdoor soccer players to futsal, just not understanding the rules of futsal, and that was a really careless error right there from Camilo Herrera.
Well, now we're going to see Detroit with an opportunity for a set play just around 5 meters from the goal, and of course, that's the last man you want to see with that ball in this position is Davide De Ponce. What can Detroit do here? Weisenhunt smart to come out and push the ball out. Detroit still retaining possession in Ginga's end.
Really surprising to not see Detroit Imperial take advantage of the wall. They had their entire team in the wall, including the goalie, which is really unusual for futsal.
And Detroit's full of those set play tricks, as we saw last season. An errant pass, just missing the mark there for the waiting Yaya Meska.
And one of the biggest reasons it's so unusual to see a wall placed like that is because there's no offside in futsal, so you can really get anywhere on the court and not be at danger of being offside, regardless of where the ball or the defense is.
And that's the brilliance of this sport. You're either hunting or you're being hunted. No offsides, on-the-fly substitutions, just like ice hockey. This is definitely one of the best sports in the world, if not the best. And where else would you rather ply your trade than the FCS?
That is a great analogy, because right here it does feel like Imperial is doing the hunting and Ginga is being hunted. Let's see if Ginga can't change that. The momentum so far early on is all Detroit Imperials.
Detroit again starting from the back. Making great space out there a couple of times, being able to almost find the pivot in a 1v1 against Weisenhunt, but not able to capitalize. Weisenhunt coming out to punt the ball and prevent any damage. Still 0-0 here, 4.5 minutes into the first on Friday Night Futsal. We briefly see Corey Weisenhunt, the bearded beast in net. And a valiant attempt to run along the flank there by Detroit, but
Weisenhunt really is an outstanding goalkeeper for Ginga. It's a shame we didn't get to see him more last season, and we only saw him for one half the first game of this season. Let's see if we see more action from him tonight. Looks like he's the only goalkeeper rostered.
A great sliding tackle there. And drawing the accumulated foul is George Guenovard. That's exactly how you do it defensively. Clean tackle, taking possession, go outside. An unnecessary accumulative to take, but Ginga will take it. Both teams try to find their footing early on as we see Ginga cycling within their own zone. And Detroit on the attack.
And once again, Guinevere just preventing Imperial from having their way. You know, whether it's him winning possession or just being a body, eliminating options on the goal. He's been all over the court for Ginga tonight.
And it's certainly no mistake that Guinevere is going to be on the court as much as Depoche, trying to mark the Detroit talisman, who's been dangerous last season and this season. And Ginga are certainly going to need to be on their defensive best if they want to prevent Detroit's potent offense from coming up. As we see the bleach hair of goalkeeper Emerson Mena.
Guinevere once again winning the ball.
He's unbelievable. He knows how to read the slide tackles well, and especially now that they have this extra space on this large 40 by 20 court, he feels very confident in bringing that in there. And Depoche again, looking to find someone open as he makes a run to the right side of Ginga's end. And Omar Labiki, the number 7. Very dangerous winger and an errant shot out there.
You know, Omar Labiki is a dangerous winger for them, a dangerous player. He's someone with a lot of talent. This is the first time we're seeing him in action this season. And just early on, I'm just curious how much time he's had integrating with the team, how much time he's had practicing. He doesn't seem as comfortable on the ball, and he's had a couple early turnovers.
A couple of shots there, doing nothing, no damage, as we see Ginga on a 2v0, taking the shot! And not getting in out there. Could have tricked a lot of people's eyes, but certainly didn't get enough to beat Emerson Mena in net. Still 0-0 here in the first. What an opportunity for Ginga.
Wow, to see Mena almost get beat like that, not once but twice. Bugasi hit the post, and sadly, Camilo Herrera was not able to slot it home.
Probably the best opportunity for either team so far in this first half. You have to think they had a lot of real estate to work with in a 2v0 situation. What could have been? We see Weisenhunt come out, trying to get the chip across, but a little too much juice squeezed out of that one. As Mena will come out now. Ginga now into Detroit zone, but Detroit picking up the steal and back and forth defensive plays out there. That looks like an accumulative, but the referee disagreeing with that, and he's the one whose opinion counts the most. As we see Edward Murillo. We talked about him during the pregame. Gerard, this winger has dangerous implications.
Ambitious effort.
He's confident, that's for sure. Detroit on the attack, finding space and shooting into the side netting out there as Weisenhunt picks it up for Ginga. Lobs it down, finds a player. Oh, and an opportunity squandered out there. It was a great throw by Weisenhunt. But
and this is the first time we're seeing
there.
Ramsey Termani in action in the FCS, and he almost put away his first shot.
Well, and that's his position out there, is in the pivot position, and with Weisenhunt found him, but he was just not able to hit the mark. And when you get an opportunity that close in goal, you want to at least hit the target out there and cause some headaches for Mena. And Detroit. Ginga picking up the pocket again, a 1v1 scenario. Trying the left-footed shot, but hitting the side mesh there. Not too much trouble for Mena early on in the game. And Ginga looking like they're finding their footing a little bit easier now, at least offensively, but a lack of finish still results in a 0-0 game thus far. Mena calmly lets that ball
early on
roll out.
we saw Detroit Imperial really controlling the flow of the game, but Ginga has picked it up a different level, and they've really turned the tides in this game, getting a lot of great opportunities on goal. They just cannot find the back of the net.
Normally I don't make a comparison to surfing out here, but that's the thing about futsal, is it comes in waves. One team dominates for a few minutes, and then immediately the other team can come in and change it up. It is a beautiful sport, plenty of goals, big-time saves, unbelievable footwork. It is indeed the sport of the present and the future.
It looks like we have a kick-in violation, our first of the night.
Yeah, you got to keep that ball still out there. Referee with sharp eyes as DePoche brings it back into play. Great turn by DePoche, but strong marking out there from Bughazi. Knows his role, making sure to shut down the always deadly DePoche. And Detroit on the attack. Ooh, a beautiful move out there, but the second defender thwarting that attempt. An unnecessary giveaway there. And Detroit now coming to the end.
That's number 11 for Detroit Imperial. He's another newcomer for them. Last week he showed a lot of promise, so not surprising to see his nifty ball moves right there.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable 8 wingers for Detroit out there. And we spoke about them in the pregame. This is a very, very versatile team. A lot of them can play in the fixo defender position. A couple of them could even play pivot. Beautiful move and a great block there by Ginga in Detroit. Maintaining possession deep in the Ginga end.
And speak of versatile players, the gentleman took that shot right there, Abdullah Asala. He's another solid defensive standout for Imperial, but he can also put them away with the best of them. He had a couple of beautiful goals last week against Innovation City.
And DePoche looking to find his open man. And with the ball and the shot blocked again. And who else to block it except George Guinevard, who's been defensively
Of course he's there.
stonewalling
Of course
everybody.
he's there to block it.
Unbelievable use of space out there by Guinevard early on.
Yeah, it's one of the things that Ginga's just notorious for, is just sacrificing their body, putting it on the line, getting in front of shots, preventing them from even getting to the goal.
You see Emerson coming out, try to get involved in the play, take a shot. Detroit still with it. Oh, and an opportunity missed, and he indeed knows it. Probably the best opportunity Detroit had. As we take a look at the replay. And it was Amin Unzar just shooting white right of the mark. We're at the halfway point here in the first half, still 0-0. A defensive masterpiece thus far between Detroit Imperial and Ginga FS. As we see Detroit with the inbounds corner. An easy shot, handled by Weisenhunt. And Detroit again. Poche taking his time out there to maneuver the ball, find the open man. Yaya Meska. Always working well with the Poche, and a far opportunity just missed out there by Yaya Meska. This is a lineup that's causing a little bit of headaches for Ginga thus far, but Guenevard and Weisenhunt really the ones preventing any damage from happening. Down the flank, Detroit go. And Weisenhunt with another save. Really a commanding presence so far this season has been Weisenhunt. Loves to communicate with his defenders as we see some contact there, and it looks like it's going to be an accumulative against Depoche.
And once again, Guinevere, even though he didn't win the ball there, just winning the foul from Depoche, just showing the impact that he continues to have on this game. Him and Weisenhunt so far have been standouts for Ginga.
Oh, and Ginga with an opportunity there. Emerson coming out to ensure no damage done against him. The bleach-haired surfer style. An unmistakable sight here in the FCS is Emerson Mena.
Showtime Shota tried a little flare, but was unsuccessful right there.
It's going to take a lot to get past Guenevard and the Ginga defense. Who is going to crack that first nut here at the Elite Athletic Sports Center in Cincinnati, Ohio. Home to the Reds and Bengals. A great sports city with a new excellent sports facility to boot for futsal. And this maple hardwood floor. The perfect canvas for these futsal painters to cast their painting on this season. Oh, beautiful ball by Depoche, but not able to be handled by Amin Unzar there.
You know, we talk about Depoche's defensive capabilities, but really one of the things that is his strongest asset is his ability on the ball to find people open. You can see how he was just able to read that play. Unzar wasn't able to connect on it, but great pass, great precision and placement.
Let me get the timeout call over here. And the FCS, definitely proud of our sponsors, including Ally Marketing. Anything marketing related, they are the ones to call. Ally Marketing. Let's be friends.
Speaking of friends, Chris, one of the things that we've seen today is a really friendly matchup. Detroit Imperial and Ginga, nothing has really separated them so far. You can see the scoreline still 0-0. Lots of opportunities, lots of defensive efforts, but no one has been able to successfully find the back of the net.
You know what? It has been a back-and-forth game so far. Both teams with some good opportunities, both lacking some finishing, both great defensive plays, and the goalkeepers have been on point so far. So this game, honestly, could really swing either way at any moment. As we see Mena sliding out to make sure Ginga wasn't coming into that goal area. As Riley McKenzie, the unmistakable defender, with the inbounds, and it will be goalkeeper possession here for Detroit.
Sometimes it can be hard to know what player is who, especially if you don't know these teams well. But Riley McKenzie is unmistakable. No one will confuse him.
He's one of the most marketable players in the league. As we see him getting in there. High defensive pressing from the Ginga 15. A long-range throw there by Mena. Not finding his intended target. Ooh, what a beautiful move out there. Up on the left flank. And unfortunately losing possession for Ginga. Detroit will pick it up now. And it appears to be John Hollowell. As a pass by Depoche not making its mark.
The nifty ball move we saw over there was from Ramsey Termanini, once again showing quickly he's a welcome addition to this Ginga team, bringing some quality that they aren't really used to.
Ginga on the attack, but smart court awareness there by the defender to put it out. Don't want to get this Detroit offense rolling in any way, shape, or form. You spoke about the Poche, who just laid off the pass there, being a defensive stalwart, but his offensive prowess, obviously. 14 goals, finishing second in the league, and 11 assists, finishing second in total points with 25. Kind of reminds you of old Brazilian captain Rodrigo in a way.
Oh, yeah. The Poche is just an absolute playmaker, no doubt about it.
You see Mena coming out. He is an exceptionally confident young goalkeeper, not afraid to get out of his zone and really make sure that defensively he acts. The ref looked like he was about to blow for an accumulative, but letting it go. As we see Weisenhunt punting it across the length of the court for Emerson, who brings it down over to one of his favorite targets in Yaya Meska, and Detroit will come out with a corner.
Yeah, it's one of Emerson Mena's biggest strengths is his distribution, full court distribution, always on point. As you saw, he found Meska's feet with excellence right there.
And Abdullah Esale was hoping to see someone on the short side there of the post. But a little miscommunication by Imperial, still retaining possession in their own half now. And SLA opting to go cross court. With just 6 minutes remaining in the first half, deadlocked at 0-0. As Depoche with a beautiful pass, finding his man who wasn't able to get it proper on the first touch. As the referee makes the call, and it'll be a Detroit free kick as a yellow card issued to Weisenhunt.
Chris, did you see what the call was for? Did he make contact with Meska right there?
Looked like he handled it outside of his crease out there. At least that was my initial assessment as we see the 5 meters being given by the referee for the Ginga defense.
Well, it looked like an outstanding play. I guess it happened so fast. I couldn't see the handling call. I was about to give Corey some praise for the way he came out, attacked the ball, and then aggressively began an attack on his own.
Yeah, that's the thing about futsal. You blink, you miss. And a missed opportunity there by Detroit. As Mena comes out to prevent any damage from Ewald Bugazi. And it was a smart play by Mena, as we all know the damage that Bugazi can do. One of the fastest wingers here in the FCS.
And Bugazi actually played for Atlanta United's the Atlanta United second team in the development academy.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting out to see how many elite athletes from the soccer world making the transition over to futsal. We could talk all day and all night about all the futsal stars that started on the court and became international football legends. It doesn't matter if you're a Ronaldo guy, a Messi guy, a Neymar guy, as we see the shot delivered there by Abdullah Esale. easily stumped by Weisenhunt. But this is what happens. Every single kid should be starting off in futsal in the schools and at clubs and academies across the country in order to develop their skills. And if they want to make the transition to soccer, that's fine, but there are professional opportunities to play futsal all across the world. Of course, the FIFA Futsal World Cup for men last year. And starting next week, 1 week from tonight, the first ever FIFA Women's Futsal World Cup takes place. At Detroit, go in, and they get the first of the night. Wonderful work deep into the Ginga zone. There was Detroit Imperial, and we see them with a sigh of relief after opportunity after opportunity. And who else? Depoche to Abdullah Assaleh. No mistake needed. Easily beating Corey Weisenhunt, who was left completely wide open. 1-0, Detroit break the deadlock.
And it absolutely is what Imperial does so well, specifically Abdullah Salah and Davide Depoche. They play so great off of each other. The 1-2 right there, they intimately knew where to go and where to find each other for that pass.
And here's another opportunity and a bit of a missed dribble out there by Omar Labiki. Had he been able to handle that just a little better, he would have had a 1-on-0 situation with Weisenhunt.
Yeah, and I think, Chris, that's the thing I've been seeing from Omar early, is just really not as composed on the ball as we typically would have expected to see from him, especially with some of the talent that he brings to the table and the history that he has with this Imperial team.
So we saw the long-range effort there by Shota. Just missing his man in Detroit again, led by who else? Depoche, looking to see if they can double up on their lead with less than 5 minutes in the opening half. Weisenhunt easily coming out to handle that. Bit of a long-range pass out there. And cut off by Emerson Mena. As we see that beautiful penalty max ball stuck in the ceiling. Someone's got to call the caretaker and get the 30-foot ladder out there. You don't want to lose that ball. My opinion, it's the best futsal ball ever made. It's the penalty max. And Detroit denied by Weisenhunt, sliding in his goal area. Great play by the bearded beast. And the referee blowing the whistle.
And it looks like we had a foul off camera, and Jorge Guinevere looks like he's going to get a caution for that foul.
Edward Murillo taking a hit on it. Got to get that kink out of his calf there. Appears to be all right as Omar Labiki and Depoche discussing what they want to do with this dead ball situation. Certainly an accumulated foul. Again, Ginga. And the referee issuing possession to Detroit in Ginga territory. An opportunity again, and Weisenhunt sliding out. He's been great this first half so far, as has been his counterpart, Emerson Mena. Great goalkeeping so far here in Friday Night Futsal. And again, another stop by Mena, preventing any damage from Ginga.
Yeah, early on, Chris, goalkeeping really is the story here. Without the goalkeeping that we've seen so far, there have certainly been a few more goals.
Ginga coming out of the corner with Weisenhunt, the goalkeeper coming out. A 5v4 attack. Ooh, big header out there, denied by Mena. Great opportunity by Camilo Herrera.
Outstanding movement by Ginga to create that opportunity. Open header on goal. Mena was not pleased with his defense right there.
And that pass by McKenzie was right on the money. But it's going to take a big effort out there to crack Emerson Mena. He's had a great first half so far. And last season, an .892 save percentage. That's absolutely unbelievable. Or last season was 776.
Showed last season that he is one of, if not the best goalkeeper in the league with his shot-stopping ability, his distribution, and really his ability to maintain possession after a save, which we haven't seen a lot of that tonight. He hasn't had a lot of save opportunities tonight. He only has 3 saves on the night. But one of the things that you see from him that he's so successful at is anticipating when the ball gets into a dangerous area and going out and winning it before there's ever even a save opportunity to begin with.
No question about it. His ability to read plays is absolutely extraordinary. 83 saves last season, 33 so far coming into this match tonight, plus the 3 you mentioned earlier. Definitely an integral part of this Detroit side. And we talked about his read out there, saw Riley McKenzie making that run along the right flank.
You know, Chris, it's such a subtle thing that will not show up anywhere on the stat sheet, but right there, just a great job just to be aware that McKenzie's making a dangerous run and go out and protect the ball and prevent it from turning into an opportunity for Ginga.
A big battle out there as we see it easily put out. A corner kick coming for Ginga. Ginga sensing the opportunity and success off that last play with Weisenhunt coming out, opting to do it again, but with the great risk. Denied out there by Shota. Intelligent play there by the Japanese star. Big time! Oh, and another stop by Weisenhunt on Depoche. Was left wide alone.
It's Weisenhunt's 10th save of the night.
Both goalkeepers sensational all night long, and Weisenhunt getting nice and low to prevent the damage. The first stop out there, the second one off the rebound. And denied by Corey Weisenhunt, keeping his team in this match. Ginga now with an opportunity, but hitting the side of the mesh. This game is really picking up now. With under 2 minutes remaining in the opening half, Ginga with the edge. Detroit Imperial, I should say. Ginga on the attack. 3v2. And easily handled out there by the trusted winger Amin Unzar. And Labiki making his moves out there between 2 defenders. An accumulated foul called against Ginga in that situation. Let's have another look there, Gerard.
Yeah, you can see Ramsey just pushes Omar Labiki with his hip, a little hip check. That's what we would expect to see out of Omar Labiki. He's really solid, comfortable on the ball. We didn't see it as much early, but he's making a little bit of a transition here, getting a little bit more comfortable and coming into his own in this game.
And it'll be Labiki. The dead ball scenario, putting it out to Depoche, and shot denied by Weisenhunt.
And it looks like, even though Weisenhunt got the save, it looks like it went off Unzar just at the last second, which is fantastic for Ginga. They maintain possession with the goalie restart.
Hata with the inbounds in Detroit territory. And Shota coming in with the run, but not able to control it off his first touch. Depoche showcasing great ball movement on the bottom of his sole. Mena putting it up front, trying to find his target. but easily picked up by Ginga. Mackenzie's errant pass will lead to Labiki with the inbounds. Pocha looking, not able to find an open man, opting to go left as we see Ahmed Abushaban looking to make his move. Ooh, and a trickling ball going through the goal area underneath Weisenhunt. As we near the end of the first, Imperial holding the 1-0 lead on Ginga.
And so Toru Matsushima, the coach for Ginga, we have not seen him in action tonight, which is one of the great things about Ginga, just integrating all of this new talent, allowing him to really stay on the sideline and coach. And you can see really a way that they've been more effective tonight and doing the things they want to do, especially committing to the defensive end, only allowing the 1 goal so far against Detroit Imperial. And you can see that the clock is at 0 on your screen, but in-house we do have a couple of seconds left. It's always one of the challenges with futsal, to getting the timing just right with our broadcast virtually compared to the in-house time clock.
Only about 5 seconds remaining on the clock as the attempt to throw it in the goal area easily picked up by Emerson Mena. And this should be the last play of the half. And because of this beautiful 40-by-20 court and the nature of futsal, anything can happen. 1.5 remaining. And the ball trickling in there with just a half second left. Detroit will go into this halftime happy with their performance and, more importantly, happy with the 1-0 lead on this tough Ginga side. And that's the end of the first half. And Friday Night Futsal sees Ginga FS down to the Detroit Imperial Futsal Club. 1-0 at the end of the half. And we'll be back shortly, folks, for what should be an absolutely thrilling conclusion to this encounter between two rivals. Live here from Cincinnati, Ohio. Detroit up 1-0. We'll be back shortly.
Welcome to the Ally Marketing Halftime Show. Ally Marketing, let's be friends.
And we're back with the Ally Marketing Halftime Show. It's Friday Night Futsal here in the FCS. And what a defensive battle we have, Gerard. What could you say about that opening 20 minutes?
You know, we talked about the goalkeeper position really being the key to look for in this game, and they did not let us down. Emerson Mena and Corey Weisenhunt both having really stellar games so far early here. Corey Weisenhunt put in a lot more saves. He had 11 saves. Emerson Mena only had 4, but Detroit Imperial has the lead because of a fantastic goal and fantastic play out of Davide Depoce and Abdullah Asala.
It was a great 1-2 give and go out there, and nothing Weisenhunt could do out there with SLA just notching it in. Great defensive work out there by both teams. The goalkeepers, you mentioned 11 saves to 4, but Emerson Mena heavily involved out there at the back for Detroit.
Yeah, he is, and it's one of the things we talked about during the match is it's not just the save opportunities, it's really his anticipation, his ability to understand when to come out of goal and protect the Detroit Imperial defense from even giving up offensive opportunities to Ginga.
Now, what adjustments do you think are going to need to be made over here in the final 20 minutes between both sides if they want to walk out with full points?
The biggest thing for Detroit Imperial is just keep doing what you're doing. They're creating a lot of great opportunities, and Corey Weisenhunt's been fantastic on goal. So for me, I'm looking at just make that extra pass, and that's what we saw with Depoce. They had the 1-2 with Abdullah, and one of the things that's really important for Imperial is making that extra pass, creating the opening to beat Weisenhunt. And then for Ginga, you know, it's a little bit more sustained possession because a lot of times they would take early shots or they would go on a breakaway, but they would be really careless with possession and they wouldn't end up having a good opportunity, which is why Mena hasn't had a lot of opportunities to save the ball because they're not seeing a lot of shots on target.
Now, coming into this, did you actually think at halftime we would only have one goal after Ginga had 10 in their game and then Detroit had 14 in their last match?
Absolutely not. Even though we talked about the goalie play and really how these are two strong goalkeepers, I couldn't have anticipated being a 1-0 match. And it's something even, Ewal Bugasi, he hit the post, so he almost beat Mena, and then Camilo Herrera had a really fantastic opportunity with a header, fantastic pass from Rylan McKenzie as well, but Mena was up to the test. So Ginga has had a couple of opportunities even with being careless in possession. So this second half I anticipate seeing quite a few more goals.
Now, I know we want to see a lot more goals, and I think the game's certainly going to open it up, but what can we say about the defensive efforts there by George Guenevard, especially early on in that first half?
Really, really strong. One of the things we talked about is just his ability to win the ball back, and it wasn't just preventing attacks with his slide tackles, but when he was making these slide tackles, he was able to maintain possession, which is a really outstanding ability, and it really set up a lot of those opportunities for Ginga. Even though they were careless and they wasted some of them, it was really the defensive effort that even put them into a position to have them to begin with.
And any predictions for goal scorers on both sides?
You know, Yaya Meska is somebody that we said his name a couple of times, and he's been somebody that's he demonstrated last week that he's someone to look out for. Depoce, clearly another, you mentioned a few times during the broadcast about his playmaking ability and how many goals and assists he scored last season. He started last week hot. And then another name for Imperial, Omar Labiki. And yes, I did say 3 names for Imperial because it's one of the things, I just feel like the pressure that they keep putting onto Ginga, I think they're going to find a breakthrough here in the second half.
Certainly. We know that Ginga has great defensive stalwarts, but Imperial have penetrated them a couple of times. And if it wasn't for Weisenhunt in goal, we could have seen a little bit more goals out from Detroit in that first half.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was really, so last season we talked about one of the biggest opportunities for Ginga being their road struggles. And one of the biggest challenges for them on the road was the goalkeeper position. Corey Weisenhunt actually did not travel with them a single time last season. And so having him in goal at home is great. Will we see him on the road? But, tonight we're talking about this matchup and he has been really solid so far. 92% save percentage, which is unbelievable. You know, you talked about Mena's save percent from last year, 92%. That's going to stop a lot of shots from going in.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about futsal. You could have a giant amount of goals. You could have a 1-0 at halftime, and it's just as thrilling no matter what, because if you blink or you snap your finger, the game can break open at any moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple of people just to keep your eye out on in the second half. We talked about Shota Takabatake. You know, he's got the nickname early here, Showtime Shota. He hasn't had an ability to show much offensively this matchup, but he did have a stellar defensive play, preventing a goal himself. Corey Weisenhunt was operating as a fifth attacker, and if it wasn't for Shota Takabatake protecting the goal, Detroit Imperial would have had their second goal.
Well, we're going to get right back to the court right now out there to see exactly who's going to take it between Detroit and Ginga. And the second half about to start underway, and we see Erhan Rehman really trying to hype up the Ginga team, get their first goal out there. Definitely wanting to be the man to equalize against this very strong Detroit side. Stingy at the back, courtesy of Emerson Mena. As the second half between Ginga FS and Detroit Imperial Futsal Club, live here on Friday Night Futsal in the FCS. And Ginga breaking out of their starting lineup, also starting this second half. We've noticed a few times Detroit trying to exploit in the pivot position for Ginga, smelling opportunities there, but the Ginga defense for the most part, minus that one goal, have been really strong. So we're going to see if Detroit continue to find that pivot on long-range efforts, particularly from the back. Detroit hustling hard. Again, trying to find the pivot. But denied out there.
You know, Chris, you talk about the full court passes and trying to find that pivot up top, but every single time, the reason they've been unsuccessful is Jorge Guinevere. We talked about him at halftime. Once again, right there, winning the ball. He's just shown a really outstanding ability as a fixo here in this match.
Yeah, he's been one of the stars, to say the least, out here for Ginga. Some key opportunities denied. And Guinevere, an absolute rock at the back out here for Ginga. And he's going to be pivotal in this second half. Ginga obviously wanting to prevent any further damage from Detroit. As we see that long pass rolling out. Weisenhunt will get his throw, calmly rolling it out to his right winger out there. And Riley McKenzie, the unmistakable force at the back, now getting more minutes on the court. And Ginga pressing. And calmly put out there by Abdullah Assaleh, the goal scorer for Detroit. Ginga with the opportunity now from the corner.
And last year when Detroit Imperial played Ginga, Pierce Brannigan was not able to make the match. And clearly tonight he's having a different impact for Detroit Imperial than their matchup last season. Last season it was a frustrating experience, including quite a few yellow and red cards for their coach.
As we see the inbounds for Ginga. And Camilo Herrera rolling that ball back, trying to draw in the Detroit forward. And the second half has started off just like the first. Strong defense, hard pressing up front. Calmly handled by Herrera. Haven't seen too much of him tonight. As we see Schulte looking for his man, just a little too far out there for Herrera. And Depoche will lead Detroit out. Trying to double up their lead here against this stingy Ginga defense. And Meska's shot easily handled there by Weisenhunt. As we see Raymond waving his hands, instructing his team on find the open spot. A little bit of a risk out there. Weisenhunt preventing damage. Detroit with some space. The shot palmed up and then clutched by Weisenhunt. Calmly rolls it out to Herrera.
It was definitely a risky decision for Weisenhunt to make that pass straight up the middle, but he was able to reclaim the ball with another save, notching his 13th save of the night.
Yeah, both goalkeepers really on point tonight out there. Emerson Mena obviously coming across the court and cutting down half the angles, acting like a fifth player as the referee calls the first accumulative of the second half, going against Ginga. And of course, you mentioned the amount of saves that Corey Weisenhunt, who looks very healthy. A long off season to repair, recoup. Having an excellent night in goal as well. And Ginga will come out with a corner, and it'll be Ramsey Terminini. And interesting that Terminini was the one to take the corner out there, the only listed pivot on the roster tonight for Ginga.
You can say it's definitely an interesting tactical decision to have your pivot take a corner, and not something you would often see.
I couldn't see it and I didn't want to see it. And we're back with the nasty weather out in North America, a little technical glitch, as we still have a 1-0 lead here by Detroit Imperial Futsal, just past the 5-minute mark of the second half, holding on to that 1-0 lead against Ginga FS. See great rotation there by Detroit, pressing into the Ginga zone. Good battle deep in the corner out there, and handled by Guenevart, who's been absolutely rock solid at the back, and that's definitely going to be an accumulative foul called against Detroit.
And, you know, that is such a great picture of the impact that Guenevart has for this team. Corey Weisenhunt made a really risky decision, but Guenevart was protecting the goal. He made the back pass, Weisenhunt did to Guenevart, and he trusted him to protect the goal, and he did outstanding.
Yeah. And with accumulated fouls, there's some smart ones to take, and that was definitely one of them. Is one of the last people you want to see rolling down the flank at full speed is George Guenevart. Weisenhunt, look at that, coming out of his zone out there to strip Detroit of the ball in half. But his pass not able to meet the foot of Showtime. Weisenhunt having a fantastic match out there, cool and calm. Don't want to say he's looking pretty in pink, but that's a pretty beautiful kit, you have to admit.
Oh, absolutely. And Corey Weisenhunt is really living up to it. We talk so much about Emerson Mena and his impact, and Corey had to be listening because he came out to prove a point tonight, and he's not disappointing whatsoever.
And Satura wondering what Ginga need to do in order to equalize in front of the Cincinnati faithful as McKenzie tries to lob it just into the goal area, but going a little bit wide. Detroit pick it up from their zone. UCT Shota rolling the ball back, trying to find his long-range effort, but easily dissected by Imperial. And everybody back in the Motor City watching tonight got to be happy with what they're seeing from their team. Almost a flawless performance tonight so far. McKenzie will take the inbounds deep into Detroit territory. Ginga looking to get on the board. And Weisenhunt playing the attacking keeper with Shota quarterbacking it. I didn't think I was going to see this early on here in the second half. As we see Davide DePoce, one of the top players here in the FCS. Ginga with the shot denied by the defender of Detroit. A little bit of hands played there between him and McKenzie. Opting to break out, and Detroit with an opportunity. And missing the mark there.
How fortuitous would it have been if DePoce could have found the back of the net after we just talked about him. He's somebody that's always having an impact on the game, always progressively moving the ball. It didn't even look like he got a good shot there. Corey Weisenhunt once again preventing the effort.
He's the testy defender that has the golden boot. And Ginga just not able to string these passes deep in Detroit zone out there, and that's been the mark so far for them. Hasn't been a lack of opportunities. It's been fantastic work in goal from Emerson Mena.
Yeah, but again, Chris, they're not really testing Mena at all. Ginga's only had 15 shots this game, 3 this half.
And it speaks to the opportunities that haven't really been, as you said, very threatening out there. And we obviously know DePoce. Oh, getting stripped out there was DePoce. And Ginga on the attack now. Oh, still in play. Oh, now for a quarter. Oh, they had a 3v1 out there. Ginga with a crucial opportunity to tie it up, but not able.
Chris, that's such a great picture. 3v1 and nothing really to show for it.
And it's been the story for them is Weisenhunt putting it towards the goal out there, looking for a deflection or a header. And Ginga will still retain possession. They've been attacking now for the last minute, showing some strength up front. But definitely want to talk about the strong Detroit defense out there. Emerson, he's been sturdy when called upon, but the saves he's had to make haven't exactly been the hard one. Not necessarily the most threatening out there, except for maybe minus that header early on in that first half, and he was Johnny on the spot to deny it. But his ball court movement has been absolutely phenomenal as we see Weisenhunt getting in the action out here. And the goalkeeper, once he crosses that half, can touch the ball for as long as he wants, for as many touches. And there we go. Ginga on the board to tie it up 1-1. Courtesy of the man who was defensively dominant in the first half, but now offensively leading the charge is George Guenevard.
And how about that? We couldn't finish 3v1, but Guenevard comes in and he finds the 5-hole against Mena to put it home, flying the keeper for the win. Weisenhunt with the assist.
That was a great setup play. We knew Ginga wanted to attack, and Weisenhunt is very confident to come out as the attacking goalie as opposed to making the substitution and having an attacking player come on. So that shows great confidence from the coach in their goalkeeper and, of course, their defender who just notched the tying goal. 1-1 here with just under 12 minutes left in the second half.
What a great reward for Guenevard, too. The defensive effort he's put in all match, to see him on the stat sheet with the goal. It really shows his impact that he's had both ways all game.
We get a great shot of the gloss of this beautiful new maple hardwood court here at the Elite Athletic Sports Center in Cincinnati. And Ginga pressing again. A little bit of a back heel. Raymond showing his flex on the ball. And unfortunately there, missing the inbounds. And you have to think that goal that went in through the 5-hole out there, that when he sees the replay, Emerson Mena is not going to be happy one bit with allowing that one.
Not at all. That might be his most desired shot that he could have back to get another chance to save all season.
He got low, kept the knee at a 90-degree angle, dropping that leg, but left enough of a gap out there to be exploited by Guenevard, who made absolutely no mistake on that. And this match is anybody's for the taking. Ginga finally cracking that nut to even it at 1. And the performance we've seen, especially defensively from both these sides, is really going to make a statement of intent to the rest of the league. You see the long-range effort easily caught there by Weisenhunt. Detroit press, led by DePoche at the back. Oh, getting stripped of it. Raymond 1v1 with the keeper. Opts to hold it. Oh, a beautiful tackle. Again, denied. Great defensive play by Imperial to prevent a second Ginga goal. And clearing it out of the
we've
zone.
Talked about Yaya Meska's skill on the ball, but right there with 2 blocks to really protect the net for Mena, who was caught out of position by Raymond. Great work from Meska, even without the ball, to defend the goal.
You thought for sure Ginga would have had their second. But again, the play of Yaya Meska, one of the coolest names in the entire league. As we see the timeout being called, and you absolutely love futsal, you love the FCS, which means you have to love the third half. Watch the third half, the official show of the FCS, every Thursday at 8 p.m. Find it at the FCS Futsal Champions Series YouTube channel. And you got to check out the analysis from all across the league, growing and expanding the men's, the women's, all sorts of greatness happening here at the FCS, leading the charge in American futsal.
Well, speaking of analysis, Chris, we got 10 minutes left here. This is turning out to be just a defensive battle. What are you anticipating here the last 10 minutes?
If I could predict this, I'd be a rich man in Vegas, Gerard, but honestly, this is a wide open game for anybody. I just can't talk about the defense and the goalkeeping enough, and then some of the moves we've seen just been phenomenal. I've been very impressed with the limited time he's had. Camilo Herrera's really kind of come onto it, and I think he should get a few more minutes. We saw, obviously, Raymond as well for Ginga to really make a difference. But, if Detroit can really calm it down out there and utilize the 1-2 touch that we saw earlier with Davide Depoce and Abdullah Assaleh, we could really see some cool stuff from both sides out here. And honestly, I think this game's going down to the final second and the final buzzer.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see Ginga really take control and just capture the momentum in the match and put the pressure on Imperial.
That's great. We're back underway after the timeout. And Ginga going to have possession around the half mark. And again, this great court here. The new home for Ginga. Really beautiful, full FIFA space, and that cushioned hardwood maple. Born and made for elite futsal. And a missed pass there from the back by Detroit, allowing McKenzie to take the inbounds. Referee opting to give Ginga the ball again. And it's fascinating looking at Riley McKenzie. He's a defender, but he just looks and built like a pivot. He's got the long legs, he's got those broad shoulders, and a lot of strength on the upper body to hold off. Always fascinates me seeing that body type playing at the back when I wonder what he would be like in a pivot position.
You have to think that he played outdoor as a central defender, and it made his transition to the fixo role a more natural transition than to playing in the pivot spot. It's one of the things, too, he just has a natural tendency to always do the right things defensively, making him a standout fixo for Ginga.
And Ginga on the attack. Sliding out was Mena, but corner for Ginga. An earlier accumulated foul, leading to Ginga's possession there. And Mena will do a long-range effort, but denied by the defenders as Ginga trying to find the man on the far post. But Detroit doing well enough to come back and thwart that threat. Wide on the wing is Detroit. Denied again. The slides out there, defensive greatness by Ginga yet again. Taking a total team effort to prevent Detroit from regaining the lead.
Yeah, it's one of the things that Ginga does so well. They just understand how to pack the defensive middle of the pitch. And what an outstanding effort from Ginga just to collapse the defense, and Corey Weisenhunt able to pick up his 15th save of the night.
And we're seeing a few minutes now being given over to the winger Ignacio Torres out there, who has a great relationship with Weisenhunt. So a lot of minutes, a lot of fresh legs coming in. And one of those, again, is Camilo Herrera, the number 3. Herrera making the press, forcing Detroit to make the error. And solid defensive play there by the Ginga winger. And Herrera with the ball deep in the zone. Not able to do much there is an accumulated call. Interesting call there against Torres. As we see the ball back, and yeah, a little bit of juice on the back out there. And pleading his case, but the referee not having it. And sometimes the aggressiveness leads to accumulated fouls out here.
And, you know, we haven't really seen a lot of fouls called this match so far. It's been a really clean game. With 8 minutes left, it doesn't look like the fouls are going to be an issue for either team. They played in control. Just last week, we saw Shoreline and Chicago House set a record for 7 PKs from accumulated fouls in one match.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. If you don't control your temper on the court out there, you know, you're going to be penalized out there. You know, everyone talks about, you know, you need in soccer to be a big bruising defender, very physical. But over here, this rewards technical play. Futsal players have better technical skill, movement, and the reality of the situation is if you're overly bruising, if you're overly defending, clawing, hitting, kneeing, hipping, doing whatever it is, you're going to get called every single time by these quality refs. And that obviously penalizes the entire team. It's one of the beautiful things about futsal is this accumulative foul rule. And for those getting their first taste of futsal, every team gets 5 accumulated fouls per half, and any subsequent foul afterwards results in a 10-meter PK spot unopposed against the goalie. And Detroit utilizing the full court to try to maneuver the ball around and exploit some gaps. And Ginga not leaving too many of them. But there is one, and coming back just in the nick of time out there was Erhan Raymond. And that could have been real dangerous for Ginga, as we see Showtime with a foul got against him and a yellow card to boot. As we see the replay and the sliding tackle there by Amin Unzar, taking out Show.
That tackle was well worth earning the yellow card right there. But that last play by Huron was just a great example, again, of the continued defensive commitment for Ginga, of really doing everything they can to protect the goal and to help protect Corey Weisenhunt as much as possible.
And we'll see what Ginga can do here with the dead ball scenario. Errant pass by Shota Takabatake going wide. 3 goals on the season for the winger. Desperately looking for one here tonight against this stingy Detroit defense. And McKenzie going up, taking the shot. And blocked out by Detroit. Corner coming up for Ginga.
And Shota Takabatake is the only Ginga player that's scored so far in both of their matches. So he's got 6 minutes left tonight to continue that streak. You know, Chris, just a few minutes ago we were talking about how fouls might not be an issue or concern because it's been such a clean game. But Detroit Imperial has picked up 3 really aggressive fouls here just in the last couple of minutes. And that's now 3 for the half. Do you think this is going to be a concern for them?
Well, they're going to obviously want to take...
That's actually their 4th foul.
Yeah, if they can avoid getting that 5th out there, because then it gets really testy, and then we certainly know Ginga know how to draw them out. It's going to be really interesting to see if they can maintain their composure. We understand it's a 1-1 game. We understand that both teams want full points out here, but you got to be cool and calm throughout all 20 minutes or dare risk getting the other team at the 10-meter penalty mark. Poche going toe-to-toe there with Bughazi. Ginga going in, opting to go far with the shot. It was a rocket of a shot, but directly at the hands of Emerson Mena. Just palmed that out. And now Ginga, as we see that fluffy hair of one of the best goalkeepers in the FCS. Coming into this match with that .892 save percentage. Remarkable stuff. The kind of numbers you love to see from your goalie. In that circumstance, Weisenhunt, interestingly putting it out and giving to Poche the inbounds. A hard shot denied by the strong keeper. 83 saves last season, stopping 3/4 of his shots. And as we know in futsal, there's a lot more shots than there are in outdoor. Poche finding his man. Beautifully done. And Detroit Imperial take the lead again, 2-1, with under 6 minutes remaining here in the second. What about that, Gerard?
We have talked at length about Depoche's playmaking skills, and he finds Yaya Meska at the back post. Patented futsal movement right there. Great work from Meska to be in the right place. An excellent pass by Depoche.
And it almost looked like he was going to shoot it on the near post, and instead just turned his foot so that the ball was perfectly placed out there to hit Meska. What a brilliant play there by Davide Depoche. 2-1 Detroit.
And what a quick turn of events here, Chris. It looked like Ginga was controlling the game, putting a lot of pressure on Detroit Imperial. Shota Takabatake almost broke the stalemate, and the home crowd would have went wild, but here's Imperial fighting back, taking the lead again.
And the game's certainly getting more physical. With 5.5 remaining on the arena clock, Detroit. Shoulders banging, hips banging. These guys are going at it. Both teams want these 3 points desperately, and they're showcasing physicality and draining everything they have to give their team the advantage. And we got a timeout being called here, as Ginga will regroup and look to tie it up. While we're waiting for the timeout, we got to give the shout out to our partners at Ally Marketing, a primary supporter of the FCS. Everything you need in marketing, your number one call has to be to Ally. Ally Marketing, let's be friends. And so as we're seeing in this timeout, Detroit looking to hold on to this lead, maybe even add to some more, as we see the coach giving the instructions out there. Of course, leaving his leader, his captain, Depoche, out there to eat some of these minutes up and draw Ginga deep and maybe even counter and get a third goal. What's your thoughts on it, Gerard?
Yeah, Detroit Imperial adjusted really well after they picked up their 4th foul. It looks like now we got a change in net for Ginga. This is something we saw a lot last weekend against Lansing City. Aaron Rahman coming in as a 5th attacker for Ginga. Big change.
Yeah, I mean, Weisenhunt wasn't doing bad as the attacking goalkeeper, as an actual goalkeeper, but bringing out Raymond out here, he's got a lot of speed, great touch. And with less than 5 remaining, it's certainly something that's going to be advantageous for them, as we see Raymond getting the call and accumulated against the attacking keeper.
Yeah, Chris, if you're asking my opinion, I don't think it's the right time to create the 5th attacker, especially when Corey Weisenhunt has been phenomenal in goal. There's still 4 minutes left. There's so much time and it's a one-goal game.
Yeah, it's interesting to see in international futsal at club level and at the national level just exactly when coaches decide they're going to have the extra attacker come out. Most of them obviously opting to have an extra player come off the bench and sub with the actual goalkeeper. But as you alluded to earlier, Weisenhunt was doing a very admirable job as the attacking keeper, which you don't see too much anymore. And we see Raymond playing that attacking keeper role, trying to bring it in as Ginga will get the corner. And they're going to try to flex this muscle for as long as they can to try and equalize and give their home supporters something to cheer about. And Ginga again. Looking to press with Shota at the back. Raymond to Shota. Oh, and Ginga just running out of real estate there on the right side. And a sigh of relief for Detroit Imperial. Detroit trying to press. They'll get possession as we see the sliding tackle from Ignacio Torres, who got called for the foul earlier in the second half. And Ginga going to want to do everything possible to prevent themselves going down by 2. This Detroit defense has been nearly impenetrable tonight. DePoche with a rocket on target, wanting to make sure that he tests Raymond. Not typically a goalie, playing the attacking role. And I'm a little surprised that Raymond hasn't subbed out for Weisenhunt. And then when Ginga get possession, they just bring him back in. It's very risky.
Yeah, Chris, you took the words out of my mouth. I mean, he did a good job standing in goal on that last shot from DePoche. Let's see if they continue to do that here.
And again, Imperial on the attack. The second slowly ticking. Both teams exiting in the semifinal last season. Wide open is Detroit. Denied by Raymond. And Ginga getting away with one there. Yaya Meska having a solid match so far for Detroit Imperial. And Saturo knows the time is ticking. Oh, and coming out is Raymond. Again, he's not a goalkeeper, but somehow getting through 2 Detroit attackers and leading the counter, finding his man. Oh, beautifully handled out there by Detroit. And they saw that open goal. That's the risk Raymond takes. And sometimes you get penalized for that, and luckily for the Ginga faithful, nothing happened there as we see Weisenhunt now coming back in goal and utilizing that rocket arm.
Yeah, I think Satoru heard us talking about it. It was like we have to make this change back to Corey Weisenhunt in the moments that we can, because that was some questionable keeping from Robin, but Raymond was able to prevent anything negative from happening. But if that shot would have been on target, that would have been a deep hole for Ginga to find themselves in with just under 3 minutes left.
And again, we said this game was going to go right down to the final whistle, and that is certainly being the case. It's intense, back and forth at each other's goals. As Shota will stay at the back. With Raymond again playing attacking keeper. Can Ginga find the space and tie this up? And a wide open net. Detroit trying for it, but Shota getting the back of his foot on it and putting it out for a corner for Detroit. close call there for Ginga.
Shota once again being the protector of the goal with an empty net. That's 2 goals he saved today.
He's the leading goal scorer for Ginga. If there's anyone who's going to do it, it's him, but he's playing the defensive hero tonight. And here comes Raymond making that sub. Weisenhunt coming out. Ginga with the inbounds pass. Raymond asking for it. Ginga cross court. And thwarted by the defender. And picked up by Raymond, who's just gonna... He's gonna sub out there. That was a risk. Should have just gone right back into the net. Had Detroit rushed that earlier, they really could have had an opportunity at an open net out there. Not something you see too often, but you got to be very, very strategic with your substitutions in futsal as we see Detroit pressing again. But running out of space there was Omar Labiki.
Ginga is definitely trying some new things here with the way that they're playing with this 5th attacker. But they're really, like, there's some communication issues. Even they kicked that ball in when Corey Weisenhunt wasn't even on the court. You know, unfortunately, they don't have a timeout left, but they really need to get it together here in the last minute.
Valuable seconds ticking off the clock here in Cincinnati as we see a little footwork there by Davide DePoce. This man is confident on the ball as it gets. Ooh, and a big collision out there. Another accumulative. And that's 5 fouls against Detroit. And any foul now that Detroit commits will result in an unopposed 10-meter penalty kick. And what a crucial time. Big collision out there. A nasty hit Ignacio Torres took, courtesy of Davide DePoce. This gets really interesting now, doesn't it, Gerard?
It absolutely does. Careless pass right there from Imperial in the situation, even to prevent giving the ball back to Ginga.
Oh, and Ginga almost with a prime opportunity, McKenzie. Raymond lays it off. McKenzie taking the shot and shooting it about 1 or 2 meters wide. He is going to be kicking himself for missing a prime opportunity like that with this game winding down and opportunities
and he
few
also
and far
had
between.
Raymond wide open on the left too. Curious he didn't make the pass.
Yeah, maybe the nerves and the intensity and pressure of this game coming in. A beautiful move on the left flank. Detroit finding, Weisenhunt thwarting the opportunity for Davide DePoce to put the final nail in the coffin of this match. And Ginga still with the opportunity. And a wasted pass going cross court. Detroit taking over deep in their own half. And it's officially the final minute of play here in the game between Detroit and Ginga. We knew this was going to be an intense match. We just didn't know how tight it was going to be. It was absolutely remarkable from start, and it's going to finish strong too with Ginga going in. Certainly utilizing the 5th attacker now. Raymond, as you see in the pink goalkeeper kit there. Detroit putting it out of bounds. If Detroit can hold off, they go top of the table with 6 points from their opening 2 matches, leapfrogging Shoreline City and Midwest. Oh, an opportunity. Just missed the mark and hit the side of the mesh there. Was George Guenevard, who's absolutely been phenomenal tonight for Ginga. Good ball control there. As Raymond leading this Pentagon attack. And an absolute miscue out there. Eats valuable seconds up. And Detroit with possession. With 3 seconds left on the clock. Oh, and they get it. Did the ref count it out there? We saw that Raymond kind of gave up.
Yeah, it looks like it did count. The clock was still running, and it looked like Ginga just stopped playing. And
it was 3.1 seconds left on the inbound pass. So we see Raymond out there giving up, knowing that the clock was over, pointing to it. But as we see, the clock seemed to be a little delayed inbounds over there with 1.5. Again, it was a 3.1 coming from the inbounds. We'll get confirmation of that shortly. But the story is Detroit Imperial Futsal walk away with a valuable 3 points here from Cincinnati as they defeat Ginga FS by a 2-1 score. What a game that was, Gerard.
Yeah, outstanding effort from both teams. Detroit Imperial really just pulling away such a narrow margin of victory. They were able to weather the storm. It looked like Ginga had really captured all the momentum, but Imperial prevailed.
And that's exactly what the FCS is about over there, as we see Shota giving his bow of appreciation to the Ginga faithful here at the Elite Athletic Sports Center in Cincy. That game could have gone either way. Unbelievable stuff here at the FCS. That's what Friday Night Futsal is all about. And we are confirming that it was indeed a goal, so the final score is Detroit Imperial Futsal 3 and Ginga FS 1. We take a look at those stats out there. 36-28 in shots in favor of Detroit Imperial. 15-10 in saves. Ginga definitely had to be strong at the back, courtesy of Corey Weisenhunt. No steals, no blocks, 7 fouls a pop throughout the entire match. The only one fouling out was Detroit Imperial in that second half. 2 cards to Ginga, 1 out to Detroit, all yellows across the board. But the most important stat, Detroit 3, Ginga FS 1.
Yeah, Chris, and really when you look at the stats and you look at the disparity in shots, it just showed the pressure that Detroit Imperial was putting on the Ginga defense. And for the most part, Ginga did a phenomenal job defensively packing the penalty area, and Corey Weisenhunt was really solid in goal. And you almost have to take away that last goal right there at the last second with Raymond in the net and just he just stopped playing. To only give up 2 goals with the pressure that they were sustaining the entire match is something to be proud of for Ginga, but they do walk away with the loss at home, which is something we did not see much from them last season.
Yeah, both teams have a lot to take away from this match, positives and some negatives out there. I mean, Ginga's not going to be happy losing at home, but defensively they were strong. And as you said, that third goal, frankly, honestly, that was just a brain cramp out there by Lehman. If this standings come down to goal difference, and that 1 goal happens to be it, they can look back at that moment and say, geez, we need to be more mentally strong. We say it goes from the opening whistle to the final whistle, and that's exactly one of those cases where you can't sit there and allow something like that to happen, because, it's one thing to lose, it's another to lose by more goals out there. And with the closeness of the FCS and how competitive it is, 1 goal can make all the difference out there. So, they're going to want to sit there during practice, and I'm sure that Raymond's going to have a little chat out there with the coach to make sure that doesn't happen again. But, there's been some real big bright spots out there. I mean, Ginga, number 1, we got to talk about Corey Weisenhunt in net, was absolutely fantastic. And for me, the player of the match for Ginga was George Guenevart. He was absolutely phenomenal. What was your take from Ginga in that regard?
You nailed it with Weisenhunt and Guenevart. The question I have is why pull Weisenhunt when you did for the 5th attacker, especially because he was the one that had facilitated the goal to begin with. He created the only goal when they flew him as a keeper. Why not continue to do that, especially having his presence in goal. I know that they didn't end up ever getting caught out. I just have to wonder how many opportunities did they miss out on having him on the court and having his presence in goal, because he did a really good job not only saving the ball but distributing and then creating offense when he was flying.
Yeah, Weisenhunt had a fantastic game. There's only really a handful amount of keepers in the entire CONCACAF region that can play as a shot stopper and as a suitable attacking goalkeeper. I didn't even have Weisenhunt on that list, but now he's really made a case for that. And they were rolling. They got the goal on the attack when they were doing it, and he was in net. As we take a look at some of these highlights out here. Well, we'll skip the highlights, but you could watch this game live on the Futsal Champions Series YouTube channel, as well as the third half again Thursday night, 8 p.m. Do not miss the best analysis in American futsal and the FCS. You got to make sure to subscribe and like Futsal Champions Series on YouTube once again. And we got a couple of upcoming games. Friday night really kicked it off, but tomorrow, 5 p.m. Saturday, I'll have the call as we go to Akron, Ohio. And look at this out here. Live on the FCS channel out here, we are going to have an absolute banger to open it up. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen. We got Lansing City versus the defending champions Ole Futsal Club in the women's side. The opening season here for the women. Looking at some trophies to what the men did last year at that beautiful court in Lansing, Michigan. Make sure to check it out. Support women's futsal. And what else? Lansing versus Ole on the men's side at 7 p.m. We give their women the full due, their full disclosure. Women's Futsal World Cup, they're going to have an unbelievable presence. And then again, as we just said on the screen right here, 7 p.m., Grand Rapids and Lansing. What a couple of bangers we're going to have on Saturday here at the FCS. And if there was any indication of what Friday night was like, we are in for some real heavy-duty futsal action this weekend, Gerard.
Chris, we have some games on the slate that are going to be outstanding. First time in action in the FCS for the women. That's going to be something. The Mendezes, Alex Mendez, Aldoni Mendez, Chris Mendez, if they're traveling to Akron for Shoreline City, wow, watch out. That's going to be a fun game to call. And Lansing City always brings the heat anytime they play Ole. So I anticipate tomorrow night's action just going to be another barnstormer with both teams bringing everything they have, and it will be some exciting futsal for sure.
Yeah, Innovation City and Shoreline definitely going to bring the noise tomorrow. Again, 5 p.m., followed by Lansing City and Grand Rapids Ole. I can't wait for that. First the women at 5 o'clock, followed by the men at 7 p.m. It doesn't get any better than that. And, of course, we got action all season long. If you want to learn and see everything there is about the FCS, you have to go check out futsalchampionsseries.com for all the stats, schedule, standings, leaders, the national showcase, the FCS tour, which was phenomenal, and learn a little bit about the players, the future stars of American futsal playing right here, right now, only at futsalchampionsseries.com.
Jack Fisher right there put an incredible display of what it should look like when you move from offense to defense.
Kleppel finds space, and it's there for him on the inside once again. Jeremy Kleppel.
Yeah, and this is
Committing a crime so you can try to escape from prison. Bad idea. Go into the pod escape room to play an escape game with your friends. Great idea. Test your skill as an astronaut in outer space. Find Santa in Save Christmas. Or take a vacation to an abandoned island. Just don't get stuck there. The Pod Escape Room. Learn more at thepodlansing.com.
Papa with a strike, and Nas with the finish. How did he know?
How did he know? That was a fortuitous bounce for Alec Nas.
He just got his body in the way after that.
Yep. He was able to find the right spot. I mean, it's really a lucky opportunity. It's a fortuitous bounce.
But he's there.
He is there. He's in the right spot. You know, we say the first shot is on the goalie, the second shot.
This is one of the things that I wanted to bring up was the idea, we've talked about this before, but the idea of like splitting halves with goalkeepers. In some cases, it really feels like a decision just needs to be made that like this goalkeeper is definitely deserves the spot and is best for the team to play, rather than let's split halves and we see two different results.
Yeah, I mean that's the part that just, it's so frustrating watching Midwest United this weekend, where in every regard they were dominating the game, and then they take Vicario out and put Marco Narvaez in, and then they end up giving the game away.